greetings. All right, this is going to be a short channeling energy, basically kind of inverted. Basically, it's just the universe is like inside itself. You can say however you want to. Can just another way of connecting to its frequency. So anything you can change is a good thing. So like you see another side of the universe, like you can say that there's a good side of the universe, there's a bad side of the universe, and so on. So yesterday's connection went, yeah, it seemed like it was pretty in depth. It can go on forever, but I had to cut them off. Also, the Phoenix Lights, or just the Phoenix in general. I'm not sure how many. Of course, they can also see the Starlink satellites, but clearer than depending on everything. But Phoenix does seem like it has an energy of like the aliens. They want to connect to the frequencies. They don't really care if they're seen. It all depends, of course. It's not a massive sighting, but there have been a couple of. I think 2013 there was a sighting, which I wasn't aware of actually. It's similar to the Phoenix Lights. Of course, then they say it's a weather balloon or something like that. So whatever, yeah, of course. So yeah, there's just some areas in the world where they just don't care. They just show up whenever they feel like it. So just connect to this frequency. If you get the Arcturian energies, usually don't have brought too many aliens in for a while. Just in the webinar stuff, I don't really do too many alien channelings anymore. So let's see how it goes here. I came unprepared. Okay, we'll just go into it and not worry about that. Okay, all right. So I guess this is just going to be a short one. So if there's anybody else that needs to come through, we'll see. Okay, all right. Blessings. Here we go. Greece is inverted universe. Just think of it as a pocket universe, a universe that doesn't want to suppress societies, worlds, a universe where everything is clear. Now you can give it different names, but just one way for us to access your energy is to look at things differently. Or to get a different perspective, let's put it that way. But the universe you're in is, like a pool. It's there to complicate your reality. As you can see, it has agendas. And it's wants to complete those agendas before it moves on. So you might not always of course, when you go into the depths of those agendas, meaning the lessons, well, basically, it's like a teacher. The teacher has to learn. It has to learn what it needs to teach first. Like it takes from a planet suppression and brings it here to your world. Brings insecurity from another planet to your world, for example. And it sees what it will accomplish. You don't necessarily see it as a lab rat type of reality, but it's basically just saying, what can we learn from this, and what's the outcome? I mean, can we survive? Can souls survive it, or they vaporize and go back into the dimensions and get kicked out of this reality? It's all just, there's no right or wrong. Yes, some of these challenges can be extremely difficult, but what is creation without it? Of course, there are difficulties that are necessary and happen anyway. And this world has a lot of that. Well, because of the agendas here, they don't want you to find them. You can call it the elites. They don't want you to, find their turf. Some of you are finding ways of doing that anyway, but only because you're there to shut down their systems on an energetic level. And of course, they don't like that. And to give you more details, some of you might be living in their backyard. I mean, you're living in their cities, New York, Los Angeles is one of Berlin's one of them. South Africa, we'll just leave that one open for that. Switzerland also. So it goes on, but that's, you have the idea. So you wonder why you live where you live, also to basically slowly shut down the systems. Now that's because you're like in the United States, you don't necessarily have to live in New York City to shut things down either. You can live, yes, in Oregon or somewhere far away, just because you don't want too much backlash. You have a life to live also. But there is a lot of wizardry happening here. Whether they're doing wizardry on you, you might as well do it on them. The idea is to bring a better intentional energy. Like they have their agendas, and then you have yours, and for the most part, many of you have agendas just to end all of this, and they know that. And you wonder why you get the visits that you do. So yeah, you become, on an energetically level, you can have a bad reputation. Doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, but all of a sudden you have enemies you can't identify non-physically, but you have an idea. Now that means you have to focus too much on this. Best is to focus on your reality. If they come mess with you, just kick them out of your frequency. Yes, they don't like to be identified either. But as you go more into a fourth dimensional level, fifth dimension, you become more idea of who is here even in the fourth, in a non-physical realm. You already have some of you already have those ideas, but you might not always want to name them as sometimes you give them like a code name because you don't want to name them for who they really are, because they don't want to be, you don't want to bring too much attention to yourself, because they can connect it with a name. That's another reason why sometimes you don't know someone's name, so they can't pick up on your frequency when you talk about them. When you know someone's name, you bring it up, all of a sudden that person that you're talking about can pick up on your energy. So it's another reason why you have no idea who some of these people are, or entities for that matter. So there's more to it than just there's a lot to this spiritual stuff. So, and not everything can be revealed, of course not. That's what would be the fun of it. I mean, not to say, well, it is an experiment, an experience, experimental. I mean, it's life. I mean, even in the fourth dimension, that's another form of life. The spirit realm is a different form of life. Everything's life. Even the lower dimensions, it's life. Of course, they like to end life, but then they absorb it into themselves. Yeah, the lower dimensions, they just, that's why they kind of ruin souls. So it's kind of like taking a car and just beating it to death, or whatever, and then bringing some of those parts to themselves. It doesn't mean it always works when they do that. They're trying to give themselves superhuman powers or something around those lines. But it's an extreme experience. Let's put it that way. Of course, in the higher dimensions, there are extreme experiences there too, because you add too much to your experience. You think, I can handle this, I can handle that, I can handle anything. And you find out, maybe not so much. So there's that in the higher realms. Those things. Greens, we have Arcturians, blessings, basically just bringing our frequency here for you to connect. Basically, your Phoenix. Well, Phoenix, the state itself, the consciousness, you can say it wants you to know what's here. It's not always allowed to show you, but every state, country has its own consciousness, and is warning from you, and you are warning from it. And yes, of course, it said, yes, we know it's hot here, but it keeps all the riffraff out of here. So everything, well, there's going to be extremely hot places and extremely cold places. So Phoenix sometimes, yes, raises the temperatures to get some people out of it. So another way of looking at things. Yes, it doesn't help anyone's electric bill, but it's If you're going to live here, because the sacred energies that are there, it does go back to Atlantean times, it goes back further than that. But there's just basically the building blocks of your modern civilization is within the land that you live in. And there are places that don't make it easy for you to be there because they play a big role here in your Earth. Siberia plays it. There's a lot of energies in the portals in Siberia, but who's going to go there? It is worth exploring if you have the capabilities of it, but not that you'll find a whole lot unless you're on a spiritual awakened path. You can pick up on. You can also get taken on ships here and there, depending. But Phoenix is careful. It's watchful of its citizens. Also, it doesn't want a whole lot of abductions there. There are places there's places that just don't care. Phoenix is one that does care. They can't always stop everything, but it doesn't really want that experience overall. Not just for tourism reasons, just doesn't want that. It's like not on our turf. Look at it that way. So you can say this is a fourth dimensional way of looking at things. You look at your country, your states that you live in as a consciousness. And doesn't mean you always have to tap into it. If you start to tap into it more often, that's part of your experience. Right now, you're having the human experience. That's probably more important right now. It's to solve problems here, to, in some ways, end hunger to a certain level. Not everybody needs that. There is, yes, when you see a lot of these, the slums of your Earth, India has the slums, for example. That is another form of slavery. A lot of those souls got swept up and pulled into this reality. You wonder why they chose that. Well, the album got pulled here to keep the vibrations low. So there are worlds where you just have to keep track of what you're doing. Yeah, you can be abducted from other planets and brought here, as some of you know that already. And then there's others that just are sent here because they got to figure themselves out. They might say they got abducted from their life, and it could feel that way. But the other thing is, like, you need to be here and work on your stuff. And yes, he might yell at us and all this, but really it's like, nothing else has been working. You need to come here and do so. And they did agree to it, like partially agreed to it. And they might have agreed to it and say, oh, wait, never mind. What's too late? You already agreed. So it's just like, well, the other thing is if you can truly get a lot of soul growth out of here, you're going, obviously going to regret being here because you're doing a lot of deep inner work. It goes on and on. It's not always has to have roses for everyone. When you're going through college courses as of this world, now you don't have to necessarily look at it that way, but it is not to say these are college courses that are necessary or meaningful or any of those type of matters. Sometimes you're here to repair the college, fix the world, as some of you have seen it, but it takes a while to repair something that's been broken for a long time that doesn't want to be fixed, or agendas that don't want to be fixed. As for the Gaia frequency, you can say why doesn't she interfere and just change everything? What fun would that be? It's not her place to do that. It's basically to build a ground for humans to sort it out. Not that she doesn't care, it's just that she can't come in and fix everybody's problems. That wouldn't be right. Can Mother Earth fix? Oh, yes. Yes, to a certain level, but then if she's fixing your life and you're not fixing it, now it's her problem. So what good is that? Yes, you can connect to the higher realms, and I mean the councils in the higher realms can, get you out of certain situations, but they have their own issues also. And that's another thing for your world to understand is like the spirit realms has problems also. And, obviously I haven't solved your problems here. I mean, some of you can see the spirit realms and see how diverse and how lost it can be. But society is not fully recognizing that. So think of like when your world eventually gets its act together, not easily, as you can see, then you just have to say, wait a minute. So, okay, we're third dimensional beings. We'll stop killing each other. And then we connect to spirit realms. Like, what's wrong with that place? God, why do they have so many issues? So, and not just the alien realms and so on. So, that would be quite the time to live in, actually. I mean, yeah, maybe kind of a disappointment. It's like, obviously, on a human level, we know, yeah, the spirit world has issues, but as a, you erase that. When you incarnate as a human, you finally go to a peaceful earth, and you're connecting to the astral realms. Like, those people need to get over themselves. And it's funny, they say the same thing about your world, but they can be messed up and get away with it. Your world can too, but you're not quite figuring out how you can clear this stuff out and then get your act together here. Basically, just a more peaceful Earth. Let's put it that way. You don't have to agree on everything. The idea is just stop killing each other. Stop with the famine, diseases. Give each other a break. It doesn't mean you have to. Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to like each other. There's no. It's okay to not like each other. There's nothing wrong with that. We actually welcome that. That's the idea is when you're, destroying each other, and I was like, you're getting nowhere with this. And it's hard to break out of that, especially when you have elites here and the non-physical realm. It isn't helping. But eventually, society will just say, you know what? I think it's time to grow up and forget about the past. I mean, yes, you can learn from it, but just common sense. Let's just move on. And then you connect to the spirit realms, the alien realms. And it's like great. And now you have to sort that out somehow. So.